Hey everyone, we'll go ahead and get started with today's session on preparing for season. My name is Ashley and I am one of the Associate Education Strategists here at Hudl. Here is our agenda for this session. First, we'll take a deeper look at how to get your schedule added for the season. We know getting your athletes on Hudl is super important, so next we'll dive into all the ways you can update your roster for your team. We'll even touch on how to manage your roster with different groups. Lastly, we'll talk about some online resources that are available to you at any time. One of the first things you'll want to do at the start of your season is add your schedule to your Hudl account. Let's take a look at that process now. To get to your team's schedule, hover over the Team tab and click on Schedule. This takes you to your schedule page. First, check to see what season your team is on in the upper left-hand corner. On this team, the current season is on the 21-22 season, so we'll go through the process to add a new season. If you already see the current season listed, you're all set and can move on to adding your schedule entries. If you need to add the next season, you can do so by clicking on the light gray button in the upper left-hand corner that says Create Season. Next, click on Save Season. Now that you have your season added, it's time to add schedule entries. This is who you're going to play against and when. To add your schedule entries, click on the blue button that says Add Event. After you click on Add Event, you'll see the details panel pop out on the right-hand side. Here, you'll enter in the details of the game, including the location, opponent name, date, time, and camera if you're a Hudl Focus user. For the opponent section, as you type, team names will start to auto-populate. Once you find the correct team, be sure to click the team from the drop-down to add them to the schedule. If the team doesn't populate, you'll have to manually enter the team name. Once you have all the details entered, click on Save. After the schedule entry has been saved, you'll see it listed in the middle of the page. Repeat the process for adding the remainder of your schedule entries. If you ever need to edit the information for a schedule entry, you can do so by clicking on the event in the schedule page. Then a details page will pop out on the right-hand side. From there, you can make any edits that are needed. In this example, we changed the time of the event from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Once you're done making changes, be sure to click the Save button. Now that we have our schedule added, we can begin updating our roster for our new season. To get started, hover over the Team tab and click on Manage Team. You can think of the Manage Team page as your roster. Before you add any new athletes to your team, you'll want to first go through your roster and remove any athletes that are no longer on the team. To remove any players on your team you no longer need on your Hudl account, click on the circle next to the player or players you'd like to remove. After you select a player, this blue bar will pop up with a few options. If you're on a JV team and you want to move this player to a varsity team, you can click Add to Another Team and choose which team you'd like to move them over to. Otherwise, you can click Remove from Team to delete that player from this team. A quick thing I want to point out here is that removing an athlete from the team means they will no longer have access to any video in the library or any stats in the reports. They'll keep their Hudl account and will be able to log in, but will only be able to access any highlights they may have created. If you accidentally remove an athlete that should still be on the team, you can always restore them from the Manage Team page as well. To do so, click on Removed Members located on the left side of the screen. Click the circle next to the player that you want to restore and then click Restore. The athlete has now been added back to the team and can be found on the roster. To add coaches and athletes to your team on Hudl, click on the blue button in the upper left-hand corner. There are 3 ways to add athletes to Hudl. The first option is to invite your athletes with the team code. This method is the best option if you don't know your athletes' email addresses. Each team on Hudl will also have a different code listed here. When an athlete goes to hudl.com/join team, they'll enter the team code and email address they'd like to use for their Hudl account, and then they'll click Get Registered. The athlete will then be prompted to fill out the rest of their information, such as their graduation year and jersey number. Once that is complete, they'll click Register. When an athlete completes the registration, coaches will be able to approve or decline the invite directly from their Hudl account. When an athlete needs to be approved or declined, click on Awaiting Approval below the Add Members button on the Manage Team page. Simply select the check circle next to the player and choose Approve or Decline on the blue bar that pops up. Once you approve the athlete, they'll receive a link telling them to log into their account. The second way to add athletes to Hudl is by manually entering their information. This is also how you can add coaches to your team. To manually add someone to Hudl, you'll enter in their name, email address, and role. There are 3 different roles in Hudl: athlete, coach, and team admin. Team admins have a few more privileges on Hudl than coaches. Team admins can access the Exchanges tab, can access team settings, and have the ability to add and remove coaches from their team on Hudl. Coaches are only able to add and remove athletes. Otherwise, coaches and team admins have almost all of the same features. There are also no limits for how many team admins can be on a team. Once you have all the details filled out for one user, you can click Save and Add Another to follow the same steps to add the rest of your athletes and coaches. The biggest thing I want to point out with adding athletes is to include the graduation year when adding athletes. When the grad year is included on the roster, the athlete will automatically be moved to the new season when a new season is added to your schedule. If the athlete's grad year is listed as a senior and you add a new season, they won't be added to the new season. Only the athletes listed as juniors, sophomores, and freshmen will automatically move to the new season. Finally, the last way to add athletes or coaches to Hudl is by importing a spreadsheet of their names and email addresses. Once you get your athletes added to Hudl, you'll see them listed here on the Manage Team page. Under Viewing Time, you'll see we have a few different options. The first thing you may see written here is Pending Invite. That means that the player has been added to your team but hasn't logged into their Hudl account yet. A dash mark means they've logged into Hudl but they haven't watched any video yet. A time shows you the amount of video that player has watched in the last week on a rolling week basis. So we can see here that Annie has watched 24 minutes of video from last week. If you need to edit your athlete's details, you can do so by clicking on their name, then a details page will pop out on the right-hand side. There you can click on Edit. Here you can edit your athlete's information. Please note that for security purposes, you can't edit the athlete's email address if they've already logged into their Hudl account. If one of your athletes wants to change the email address they used to log into Hudl, they'll need to log into their Hudl account and change their email address under their account settings. In this example, the athlete Ashton Miller had the incorrect jersey number, so we corrected their number here. Then click Save Member to save any changes. Hudl automatically maintains 3 groups for you: all team, athletes, and coaches. These groups are not editable, and Hudl automatically updates them when you enter members of your team. However, if you're looking for more customization with your roster, you can create your own groups. When on the Manage Team page, click the gray Create Group button on the left side of the screen. Name your group, then check the box next to each coach or athlete you want in the group. Next, click Create Group to save this group. Your new group will appear on the left side of the screen. If you need to make any changes to the group, for example, add or remove an athlete or coach from the group, you can do so by selecting the group and then clicking on the Edit Group button towards the top right corner. You'll be taken back to this page where you can make any changes to that group. Be sure to click Save Group when you're done to save any of your changes. I know we've taught you a lot today, but no need to worry, we're always here to help you out. Before we go, I want to make sure I leave you with some support resources we have to make sure you're always up and running. To get help directly from your Hudl account, click the box in the bottom right corner, search for whatever question you have regarding Hudl, and you'll instantly be given the tutorial you need. To learn anything about Hudl, or if you need a reminder on how to do anything, you can go to hudl.com/support to find tutorials, how-to videos, and quick start guides. Now let's dive into a few frequently asked questions. First one is, do I need multiple accounts if I'm on more than one team? The short answer is no. With Hudl, you can be on multiple different teams and it all can be under one account. Just make sure if you are getting added to multiple teams that you use the same email address for all of your accounts, and that'll keep your Hudl account as one account and keep everything organized for you. Next, can I turn off highlights for individual athletes? This answer is no. With highlights, they are a team feature, and so that means when it comes to any settings for highlights, like the privacy, you either keep it on for your entire team or you keep it off for your entire team. There's not a way to customize it for any individual athletes. Next, can I delete messages in Hudl? For legal purposes, messages cannot be deleted from your Hudl account, and so no matter what you put into messages, they are always going to show on your Hudl account. That's all we have for today's session. Thank you so much for joining us.